All right. ETM Hotep, welcome in peace. This is your brother Wujau Meneb Erimaat, and you are tuned in to the Seshew YouTube channel, officially known as the Seshew Ma'ani Medew Netcher YouTube channel, but we shorten it to Seshew, make it easier for everyone. So again, welcome, peace, shout out to everyone who may be tuned in already, and shout out to those who may be catching this in the archives. All right, so again, want to welcome everyone. So today, as you can see in the title, this is a Seshew snackable. This is a series of videos that Sonette or Sister Emiket had suggested and put together, that we do a series of snackables. And basically, these are bite-sized videos that we try to keep the time down, because we tend to do very long videos. We want to keep the time down, make it bite-sized, concise, but educational for sure. All right, so we call them snackables. Get your finger food, your chips, your wings, your potato chips, dipping sauce, nuggets, whatever that good stuff that you eat. So this is, mental food, mental snacks. All right, so we've had 2 videos so far. This will be our 3rd snackable. And so today, what I want to do is continue where, pretty much where I left off in the last snackable. And if this is your first time tuning in, welcome. Appreciate you, and I want to welcome you. And if it's not your first time tuning in, but you may have missed the previous snackables, definitely tune into the other ones, especially the one right before this one, because what I'm going to go over today is a continuation. All right. But it's not so much where you can't pay attention today and be lost. All right. So we're going to make it nice and easy and following along. All right. So, and also, we have timestamps on our videos. So if you check the description of our videos and even the pinned comment underneath the videos, we have the major points in the video timestamp to make it very easy for you, so you can focus right on in on the different bullet point that you may be interested in, or you may want to go back to. So make sure y'all check that out. And we'll be timestamping all of our videos. So we have a lot of videos in the archive on multiple topics related to ancient Egypt, its language, its culture, and we're going to go back and take time to timestamp the videos so that you'll be able to look at any title video, any of the thumbnails, and you'll be able to see the bullet points and things that were raised, some highlights, basically video highlights. And if anything interests you, then you'll know exactly where to go. All right. That makes it easy for everyone because, like I said, everyone nicknames me. I don't know if I still have the title, but people have nicknamed me MC Iron Lung because I definitely can go on and on and on. And so the videos reflect it. We have 2-hour videos, 3, 4, 5, 6-hour videos. And so it's only fair to timestamp them because people will look at the video time and get intimidated, won't watch the video. All right, but it'll be some good information, necessary information that you may wish you had saw or heard or whatever the case is. So we're doing that. All right. So again, shout out to everybody. We got just give some shout outs real quick. I see in the chat. Make sure you say something in the chat so I can shout you out. So we have let me see, go back to the top here. We have I Run a Gun. That is security training, defense firearm training officer number uno, right there. I Run a Gun. If I ever need training in firearm safety, accuracy, the do's and don'ts, I would definitely go to I Run a Gun because the brother on Facebook, I see his posts and everything like that, and he keeps it definitely on point. Definitely check him out. I think it's the same name on Facebook. So I run a gun. Maybe one of these times I'm gonna have to bring you on here and talk about some firearm safety and defense, and maybe we could relate it to ancient Egypt and talk about the armies or something. Try to tie it in some kind of way. All right. So we'll do that. Shout out to Chavis. Chavis in the building. Shout out to Any Haret Kalfani. Yeah, brother Sean. Everybody, people nickname Sean Troublemaker Sean. Nah, but I don't think that's fair. But peace to brother Sean. We got Sharp Spear in the house. Sunet Safa is in the building. I'm just going down, and that is all that I see in terms of those who I can see in the chat. But shout out to anyone who's tuned in. Share this video as well. All right. And if you benefit from any of our videos, then it's free to give a thumbs up. Like the video. All right. Even if you hate the video, find something. Find like if you like the color blue, you see the blue on the screen right there. Just, hey, okay, I like blue. Let me thumb up the video. If you like the word snackable, just if you like the month, May 11th, if something happened on May 11th, you see May 11th in the video, just thumb it up. You like the background. Find something to like and thumb up the video. All right. All right. So I don't want to take too much time. But I do want to share something with you all before I go in on today's snackable. And I want to show you all, we don't do enough of this. And people come to me quite often and ask me why, that I don't advertise or don't showcase the things that I do, that we've done, or whatever the case is. I don't ask for donations. I don't I don't broadcast the super chat, the cash apps, or anything like that. And people are telling me that I should. And I agree. It's just with me, because I don't do that and I haven't had a habit of doing it, it's a bit of a change. It's a little awkward when I think about that. But we need to start doing that. So I am definitely going to take the advice of everyone to do that, because the things that the goals and aims that I have in mind is going to take help from others, and whether it's financial or more minds, like-minded people jumping on board to get some things done. All of it, it's going to take more than myself and the people that I associate with already. So I'm definitely going to take that advice. So with that being said, I just want to share with you all some of the things that we've had going on for a long time that you may not know about, and I'll just explain it to you all as you see it on the screen. So the first website is Hecka Multimedia. All right, this is a website. If you type in heckamultimedia.com, this is what you see, and I'm pausing it right now. I'm gonna play and pause as I speak and explain this to you all. Maybe I can play it and just talk it through. But Hecka Multimedia is our company where we do multimedia design, graphic design, all the different graphic and artwork that you see that you've ever seen from me, or that I've done for other people, myself and Emiket. From logos to book covers to book layouts and all those kind of things. People are going around bragging about being printed in journals, but the format is sloppy. So they need to come see us. Then we have Demi Web Solutions. Demi Web Solutions is all things. I'm pausing it. All things dealing with websites in terms of hosting, in terms of domain name setup. Web administration, content administration, and things like that, and even web design in conjunction with Hecka Multimedia. All right. So the website is called Demi Web Solutions. All right. So that is also associated with myself and us. All right. So that's the site that you're seeing scrolling up. And that's a portfolio of a couple of sites that we've done more recently, but been doing it for quite a while. All right. Then next we have Hecka Apparel. And more of you all may be a little more familiar with this. Hecka Apparel Thinkware. All right. Apparel that makes you think, messaging and things like that. So this is all the sweatshirts, hoodies, t-shirts, all those kinds of things where you see these different designs that have a meaning. These are conversation pieces. All right. Then we have Sesh, MedewNetcher.com, the one-stop shop for all things Sesh, Medew, Netcher, ancient Egyptian language and writing system related. This site's been up for a long time. It's been redesigned, maybe a couple of years ago, but have articles on the site, all the resources that you need, to begin this journey of learning the language and culture of ancient Egypt. All right, so definitely check it out, seshmedunetcher.com. Then we have sableuniversity.com. Sable University is the educational environment. All right, this is where you get the quick lessons, the courses, the free lessons. For example, you see on the screen, logical reasoning, how to look up hieroglyphic words in dictionaries, a quick lesson on portmanteau, morphs, et cetera, et cetera. All right. And so Sable University is definitely the place to be. It's free to sign up to the site. There's only a few courses on there that have a price on it. Everything else is free. So we're not trying to break anybody's pockets, break anybody's bank. We just want people to gain information and to edify people so we can grow and make some progress and all this stuff and stop spinning our wheels and staying in one place, All right, so just wanted to kind of show you all that real quick and spread the word. Do me that favor, do that service and spread the word. Check it out for that. All right. One more thing that I want to share before I get into the snackable. I want to share this with you all, which is Sable University again. But this is something new that I just put on the site today. And what we're going to start is a book club. All right. And I know other people have book clubs as well. And shout out to everyone who's doing a book club. I wanted to start a book club for a selection of books that are related to the things that we do and to address some of the things that I see in our online communities. Some of the things that are going on, that have been going on and things. So, I always give commentary about it, but now it's time to do something about it, actually do something about it. And so anybody who's interested in our book club, you can go to Sable University and you'll see this is listed as a course, but it's free. And it's really just to get people to register. If you want to sign up for the book club, just come to the sableuniversity.com and enroll in this course. It's free. It's called Sable University Book Club. And it's exactly what it says. We're going to choose a book and we're going to walk through the entire book in sequential order, chronological order, based on the chapters, however many chapters are in the book. And we'll walk through the book and schedule that. And then we'll go from book to book to book, and we'll take recommendations and certain book titles and whatnot. All right. So make sure y'all go over this at sableuniversity.com. All right. It's nothing to sign up for that. That's really just to collect your information, email, name, and you can become a member of the website. All right. And we have other plans for the website as well. So you definitely want to sign up and not miss out. All right. So with that, let's get back into the snackable. So again, shout out to everybody on this Wednesday, this hump day. What is normally like happy hour? When is happy hour? When happy hour start at 6 o'clock? So we're going to have snackable hour. All right, something like that. All right, so now with the book club, though, the first book we're going to get into, and you don't want to miss out on this. You do not want to miss out on this. The first book we're going to dive into is called Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs by Urosh Matic. Urosh Matic, and I'm probably butchering his name, but he's a doctor, PhD. His doctor, actually Dr. Urosh Matic, Dr. Matic, and he is an Egyptologist, archaeologist. I believe he's an archaeologist, but I know that he's definitely Egyptologist, and he has his doctorate, and he has several publications or even articles. This one is very, very good. All right, and this is going to be the first book in line on our book club. So don't miss out. Go sign up at some point. While you're listening right now, you could just go over to Seshew University real quick. Sign up. Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs. You know, with all this black conversation in the circus community, this is right on time, right on point. All right. So that is the first book. You don't want to miss out. Spread the word on that. All right. Okay. So let's jump in. So I hope y'all got y'all pen and pad ready, thinking caps on at least. Critical thinkers. All right. So where we left off last time is I was speaking about substantival phrases. All right. Now, just a quick recap. The word substantive or substantival, what you may be familiar with is the word noun. All right. Now, there's a reason why I don't use the word noun in this case. But that's a conversation unto itself. And, you know, I've had it before and I don't mind having it again, but I don't want to take the time to explain that here. But so just for the sake of understanding, think of noun phrases. Okay. Noun phrases. And so in Ranykemet, which is the language of ancient Egypt's language, we also have noun phrases like we do in English. But the noun phrases can express three different things in Ranykemet, the ancient Egyptian language. It can express the genitive, which is possession, which expresses possession, as you see here. It can express apposition and connection. And so last Snackable, I went over genitive, the two types, direct and indirect. And I also went over genitival inversion, okay? Or it would be a direct genitive, but inverted, which people are more familiar with the phrase honorific transposition. All right, that's what that is. It's an inverted genitive construction. So I went over all that last time. So today I want to go over apposition and connection together. All right, so we're going to cover the next two, and that will complete the three expressions of substantival phrases. All right. So hopefully everybody will be able to follow along. So just to give a quick explanation of what apposition is. As a matter of fact, let me just put the text on the screen so that you all can see it and read along with me. I didn't do that. Shame on me. So let me do that real quick in real time so y'all can see it. Give me a second here. Y'all be able to see it in real time. And don't worry, I am going to make it bigger. I know y'all like, would y'all, you know we can't see that. So we're going to make it bigger right there. All right. So this is apposition. Just to make it clear to y'all what it is. Y'all know me, I got to do some house cleaning, make sure we all straight. All right. So Apposition. What is apposition? Apposition is a construction in which two elements, normally substantives or substantival phrases, are placed side by side with one element serving to identify the other in a different way. In that case, the two elements are said to be in apposition. All right. So we have another term for when things are placed side by side. We call that juxtaposed. All right. And so when you have these two words juxtaposed next to each other, then it can express either the genitive, apposition, or connection. All right. So, just for example, if I have, okay, I'm gonna say sub one. Well, I'll put sub one right next to each other. The one and sub next to each other, and I have sub two. What it stands for is substantive one and substantive two. Now, if you see these two words right next to each other, juxtaposed next to each other, what this is saying is that one is it will be a substantival phrase, but it can either express possession, which means that substantive one belongs to substantive two. Okay, and we went over that last week, the genitive. Or apposition, which was what we're going to get into now, or connection. But what you see, the form you see, are just two words side by side. All right. Now, to determine if it's genitive, if it's apposition, or if it's connection, that is going to take the context is going to dictate and help you out with that. All right. So that's just to give you some more clarity on apposition. So place side by side. Now, the actual word apposition, the term itself is from Latin, which is add, same prefix as we have an adjective, and then positio, which is placement, which means placed near. Apposition. It makes sense, right? A word placed near another word. Now, one of the elements is called the appositive, although its identification requires consideration of how the elements are used in the phrase. So an example in English is Imhotep, high priest of Ra. Now in English, we'll put a comma there. Because remember, these elements that are placed side by side, they're placed side by side because they want to identify the other in a different way. So they're going to be related to one another in terms of the referent. So Imhotep and high priest of Ra is referring to the same entity. So the second element, which is a phrase, high priest of Ra, is identifying Imhotep, but in a different way. It's like further elaborating. Okay, so Imhotep, high priest of Ra. That is apposition. And in English, like I said, we would put a comma there most of the time. So high priest of Ra is the appositive in the apposition, in apposition to Imhotep. All right. Now, quite often, as in this example, one of the elements is essential, like a proper name, and the other is less essential, like a more general designation. So Imhotep would be a proper name. High priest of Ra would be a phrase that further elaborates or identifies Imhotep. All right. So you kind of distinguishing Imhotep out of a crowd of Imhoteps. The high priest of Ra one, you know, if it was 3 Imhoteps in the room. Okay. So that's apposition. All right. And it's pretty simple. So I'm going to give some examples of that. Now, well, before I give an example, let me just elaborate a little more because that's in English. All right. So I want to kind of elaborate a little bit more in Ranykemet, what it would be. So put this on the screen, and I will make it bigger for you all to read. All right, there we are. So also now, so that was an English example, or we using the word Hotep, Imhotep, but it's an English example. So now in Ranykemet, one substantive or substantival phrase is set in apposition directly after the other, usually without any intervening words or particles. So that's what you see here at the bottom right here. All right, side by side. Oops, move this out the way. Y'all know I need my trusty arrow. Side by side, substantive 1, substantive 2. Now, apposition is a particularly common feature of titularies, and a titulary is a fancy word for title. Okay, names are titles. When people want to get bogged down in the minutiae of names versus titles, names are titles. Titulars or titularies. All right. So apposition is common in titularies, where either the name or the titles may come first, as well as the divine epithets. In translation, though, apposition can sometimes be paraphrased by the English word namely. Okay, namely, where Imhotep, high priest of Ra, becomes Imhotep, namely the high priest of Ra. So that's more fluid way of saying it. Imhotep, namely the high priest of Ra, went to the store and bought some lemonade, or whatever the case is. So more than one phrase may follow the head substantive or proper name. So in other words, we can have a row of appositions. We can have 3 elements or more elements, have sub 1, 2, and 3. Okay. That could be there. All right. So now I'm going to show you a couple of examples, and we'll just walk through these examples. Now, mind you, while I'm doing this, I cannot see the chat. So if you all have any questions or anything, I'm going to open it up for questions before I end. All right. So be patient and write it down. If you memorize your question, or write it down. All right. So here are some examples. Now, these are Ranykemet examples. Now, I'm not doing a Freestyle Friday where I'm asking you all to guess the glyphs or anything like that. So I'm going to skip all of that and just give this, shoot it to you straight. Shoot it to you straight. So this first one, now all these are examples of apposition, and I'll explain them as we write them out. So this first one is Wehem, and I'll write it out so you all will be able to get it. Wehem Ameni. Now, the way that I just transliterated this is using a system called manual decodage, which is case sensitive. So that capital H is there for a reason. Because a few times people ask me or say that I misspell it, or did I purposely do it or not. And so I always like to inform everyone that is intentional. Okay. Manual decodage, it is case sensitive. The capital H is different from the lowercase h in that system. All right. But for the sake of being clear and not to confuse anyone, I'm going to change it to the if it doesn't stall out, I'm going to change it over to the diacritic system of transliteration, where you see the H with the dot under it. All right. So you see that? It's H with the dot. So it's Wehem Ameni or Imeni. Now the word Wehem means herald. So this would translate as, let me put the translation Hopefully I have room to do all of these. But the translation would be the herald Ameni. Okay. And see, so this is an example of apposition where you have two substantives side by side, juxtaposed next to each other in apposition. One is further elaborating on the other, but it's speaking and referring to the same referent. It's pointing to the same referent. All right, so that's that one. And let's go over another one. I have to move these out the way. Let's get this one out the way, get this one out the way. So we're going to go over the next one beneath here. So this one transliterates to, and I'm sure you all sharp-minded folks in the chat, y'all probably already transliterating it. Is Emi Ra. You see this, Emi Ra? And what's next? I'm tempted to do the freestyle and ask y'all questions, but that'll take too long. Emi Ra Mesha. You see Mesha there? Then we have the word where. Oops. So we have Emira, Mesha, where, Imini or Amini. All right. So what does that mean? It is. Now, normally we would translate Emira as overseer. Somebody's in charge, But because of the context of an army, because the word Mesha means army, by the way. The word Mesha or Mesha means army. So instead of saying overseer of an army, we would translate that today as the general. All right, the general. So it'd be the general. The word where is great. So it is describing the general. So we say the great general. So it's the great general Ameni. All right. So now the great general, which is Emira Meshawer, is a substantival phrase. And then Ameni will be the next substantive. So those two entities, those two elements are juxtaposed next to each other. All right. The phrase and then the single substantive by itself. So the great general Ameni. All right. That's that one. And I'll do a royal name. We'll put this one up here and do that one. Move this out the way. Move these out the way. I hope y'all follow along. And I'm sure Emiket is in the chat holding it down. And could let me know if there's anything that I definitely need to pay attention to. But I'm going to go through these examples and you all can so y'all can get these takeaways. So now for this one, this should be familiar to everybody as well. We have Nisut. And I knew my the spell is definitely going to do that. Nisut BT. And I'm not going to do I don't want to explain the periods to you all today. We'll do that another time. So I'll omit that. Keper. We have Keper. Ka. Ra. Nisut BT. Keper Ka Ra. All right. What is that saying? Now, Nisut BT is translated in a few different ways depending on which scholar you are dealing with. Some scholars will say the king of Upper and Lower Egypt. Some scholars will say the dual king. And some scholars will say, what else do they say? Or just the king. They won't even designate the upper and lower part or the two regions, et cetera, et cetera. So, and to me, they're all acceptable. It just depends on what you're doing it for. So I'm just going to put the dual king and then comma Keper Ka-Ra. And usually Egyptologists will spell Ra as Re. Keper Ka-Re. All right, as if you didn't know that already. So the dual king, Keper Ka-Re. All right. So the dual king, Nisudbiti, would be juxtaposed next to Keper Ka-Ra. All right, and that would be apposition. The dual king, and we can even put, as I said before, namely Keper Ka-Ra. The dual king, namely Keper Ka-Ra. All right. So hopefully that's understood. And let's do this one. Move these out the way. If I can get them out the way. All right, so we'll do the next one. And I'm doing these examples because last time I went through it, I didn't show examples, and I know people kind of got on me for not showing examples. So this is, now all these are apposition game. Now this particular one, in case you have not figured it out, it's Medew. Next part is Neb Waset. Medew Neb Waset. And what is that saying? It is saying Medew, Lord of Thebes, or Waset. It was called Thebes later, Luxor today, but I'll keep it as Waset. Medew, the Lord of Waset. All right, that is also apposition. So all these are examples of apposition. Now, I'm sure you all have seen this before. If you've done any studying with the language and whatnot, even if you may have not known that this is apposition. If you didn't, now you know. But I'm sure you've seen this before, especially if you've seen Nisudbiti so-and-so, Nisudbiti Ramasu, Nisudbiti Waser Ma'at Ra Satepen Ra, Medew Amen, etc., etc. We've seen these. You have seen these a lot. You may not have known that this grammatical structure, this syntactic structure, is called apposition. All right, that's what this construction is called. All right, so these other three, I'm gonna have to put on a different slide here. All right, so I think I can get rid of all of that. Well, I'll save one. Bring these back into the fold. All right, so we're going to get rid of this. So we're going to deal with this first one here. Now, when it comes to apposition, there is, now remember, apposition, it speaks about, the construction is basically two elements juxtaposed next to each other. And remember, when I first said it, it's when, as I said here, it's placed outside to refer to the same entity. Okay, it's just kind of like a further elaborate on the entity. All right. Now, also in apposition, you have a way you can use the apposition construction to actually not talk about the identical entity, but more so to decrease it. And so I'm gonna give you an example with this one here. So for example, when I say decrease, it is to speak general and then be more specific. Okay. So this first one is ket. I don't want it to change. Wed who. Ket Wedhu. Oops. And it's not KY, it's Ket. Ket Wedhu. And that X changed to a capital X. See, my spell check is definitely not feeling these transliteration systems here. All right, but what does that mean? It moves out the way. What does that mean? The word ket is wood, the word for wood. But now we're being more particular, a particular kind of wood or something. So now we're drilling down. We're being more more descriptive or more detailed. So it's an offering table. So ket wedhu, wood, namely the offering table. All right, and it still has the feel of further elaborating, further explaining, and then we'll go over the next example and show the same thing. All right. So next one, bring this down. This one here is capital H, but it'd be a H with a dot. Henket. You may hear us say that in the offering formula. T, Henket, Ka, Apit, Sesh, etc. But that would be Des and then Senu. Be number 2. All right. Henket Des Senu. What is that saying? It's saying Henket is what? Beer. But now we're being more detailed. 2 jugs. All right, beer, but what about it? 2 jugs. Wood, which one? What about it? Offering table. All right, so you see that's also an apposition. And then the last example I'm going to show on this is here. Now the first one, well, let me just do this one, then I'll elaborate on the 3, why I chose these 3, or why these 3 are shown. This first one is ta. Then we have where. And everybody should know what this next word is. You should. All right. It's Tawer Abju. All right. And what is that? It is a location. So we have Tawer, which is a location. But to be more specific, Abidos or Abju. Oops, Abju. Did I spell it right? And my spell check definitely didn't like that. All right, Abju. So you see, so the first example is apposition dealing with material. And you'll see this when you're dealing with material, whether it's metals, wood, fabric, and things like that. The second one is dealing with measurement, measures. So it's a liquid beer, but more specific, 2 jugs of it. And then the third one deals with location, where you have the more broad general sapat or nome, which is called tawer. But now you're drilling down into the city. It's one of the cities within the nome, which is Abju or Obidos. All right. So those are all examples of apposition. Okay. So remember, going back here, we have 3. Genitive, we did last week. Apposition, we just finished. And connection. Now, out of apposition, I show simple and decreasing. I did not show filiation. I will show that separately because that's when I can get into family relationships, because filiation is who is affiliated with who, which is a way to express relationships. So and so is the son of so and so, is the son of so and so, the daughter of so and so, uncle so and so, auntie so and so. All right, that is done by way of apposition as well, but I want to go into that as a separate topic. Okay, so I did not go through affiliation, but now I want to quickly go through connection, because connection is not too far different than apposition. Actually, none of these are too far different in form and what you see, because you're looking at two words next to each other or a phrase next to a word for all three of these. Now, which one it expresses, like I said, context will help you make that determination. That's the only thing that will make the determination. If I show you a phrase by itself, you will not know what it's expressing with any confidence. You can guess, but you open yourself up to be wrong. All right, so now let's go over connection. So some examples of connection. But first of all, connection deals with conjunction or disjunction, which is saying and or. So a lot of people think it's either like this or that, but it could be this and that. Okay, give me popcorn and butter. You don't say give me popcorn or butter. You say popcorn and butter. But the and is conjunction, and the or would be called disjunction. But both of those, conjunction and disjunction, are both connections. All right, so that's the quick and skinny of that, of what it is, what connection is. And the one thing about connection, well, actually, let me do it like I did before. Let me just put the text on the screen so y'all can see it. Shame on me. So before we get into it, let me put the text on the screen so y'all can see it. That way we read it together. No confusion. Eliminate all possible confusion. All right. So this is connection. And let me grab that so it'll be clear, because, in case those of you who will be taking screenshots, y'all won't be confused later. So this is connection. So connection, a brief explanation of it. It is possible to connect words that do not refer to the same referent. Okay? Thus, in English, the word and is used to link two non-identical but grammatically coordinated substantives, cats and dogs. Cats are not dogs and dogs are not cats. But grammatically coordinated, you put and. So we say cats and dogs. It forms a syntactic unit called connection. All right. Or we say angels and demons, the sun and the moon, etc., etc. Now, by contrast, the word or distinguishes substantives that represent alternatives. Okay? Whether these alternatives are mutually exclusive or not. So we have men or boys, hard or soft, etc., etc. So these two types of phrases, and versus or, are known respectively as conjunction for and disjunction for or. In neither of these constructions, however, is either substantive adnominal to the other. And I'll explain adnominal in another video. All right. Add is that same Latin prefix to add on or to be near something, and then nominal. All right. Well, I can explain it real quick. Adnominal is a fancy way, a linguistic way of saying dependent. It depends on each other. And so it's saying, so what I'm saying here is that either substantive is not dependent on the other. All right. They're not a slave. There's not a slave and master relationship. So let's go through some quick examples of connection. And I have quite a few examples, and I'm probably just going to do a few. So let me grab my setting here and bring it over here and change it up. Gotta move this out the way if I can. All right, move these out the way. Okay. So this first one here. Remember, this is connection. The first one here, we have and I'm not putting the dots there for a reason because I don't want to confuse anybody with that. So when you see these two words together, hemut, some people pronounce this hemut, this first word here. Hold on, I know y'all can't see my cursor. Let me get my arrow here. This first word here is the word, instead of hemet, which is the word for wife, usually the word for wife or women or a woman, it's plural. And some people pronounce it hemwet, while others pronounce it hemut for the pluralization. All right, that means women. And then chayu is the word for men. Chai is man, is a word for man in the sense of husband, man. And chayu is plural, men. So this is saying men or women or men. Excuse me, and, not or. Sorry, this is this is conjunction. Men and women. Now, it's funny that I did that because without any context, you really wouldn't know. If you just saw this, if somebody pulled this out of a text and showed it to you and say, hey, translate that. It could be men and women or men or women. You wouldn't know. Context would be required. All right. But for the sake of what I'm showing you, we're going to say this is and, because I'm showing you conjunction and not disjunction. All right, so let's put that there. So we have women and men. All right, that's for that one. The next one, let's grab this one, bring this over here. Let me check my time. Up, I'm almost at that hour mark. And I want to keep these brief. So I'm gonna go through this one, and then I'll do, well, let me just do a disjunction then. Because that was a conjunction, and let me do a disjunction one so that you all can see that. And that would be, so I'm gonna move all these, get rid of all these, so I don't want to confuse you all. All right, go back here. So here's going to be my, as a matter of fact, let me show that to y'all. This will be conjunction. All right, conjunction. And this one over here is going to be disjunction. With the or. All right, so what is this one? Let me just get my formatting over here. All right, what is this one? So we transliterate this one here that you see here. I know y'all can't see my cursor anymore. This one here is ze, zet, rapu. Zezet rapu. And what that is saying, ze or ze is man. Zet is woman. Rapu is a way to express disjunction or the word or. That would be the word or. Now, it will come after the juxtaposition of the two words. So ze and zet are right next to each other, and then rapu comes after instead of in between. Okay, so it doesn't interfere. So zezet rapu. And what that is saying is a man or a woman. That's what it's saying. All right. just to give some examples. And because I don't want to take a lot of time, I'm just showing those two examples. I think those two examples are enough so you can kind of get the gist. But with conjunction, notice that these two words are just right beside each other. We have women and men right beside each other. Context will let us know if it's women belonging to men, which would be genitive, if it's women and men, which would be connection, conjunction, or women or men, which would be connection, disjunction. Okay? Or, which is crazy, and I'm not saying this is the reality, but you could say women, namely the men, and that would be apposition. And we kind of got that going on in modern times. Women, mainly the men. That would be apposition. All right. Now, another way to express conjunction is with another word. The word is henna, or henna, which means together with. Okay, that means together with, or translated as and. Okay, it'd be women together with men. All right, just so you all would know that little nugget there. All right. So, hopefully y'all got that, and I didn't confuse anybody, but I do want to keep these videos down, and I like I said, I will pay attention to the chat and take any questions that you all may have about this. So I'll leave this on the screen, and I can see the chat now. And shout out to everybody who's tuned in and who may be watching this in the archive. So shout out to everybody. I'm looking at the chat right now. I see we got Ramza joined us. Donnie Williams joined us. Who else? Tamika joined us. Anybody else that I missed that I didn't see earlier? And for those who stuck around, Robert Rand, peace. Robert Rand is in the house. Don't forget, you all sign up for the book club. All right, don't forget to sign up for the book club. We're gonna be going over. This is gonna be our first book, Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs. All right, Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs. All right, so I'm looking for some questions. I don't see anybody typing anything. I don't see anybody. Let me scroll up and see if you all are having a chat. How rude. Y'all are teaching. Y'all are talking while somebody is teaching. But yeah, we're doing a book club. So for those who came late, just rewind this video and you'll see me talk about it. I just don't want to take time to repeat it because I want to keep this video nice and compact. But yes, we are starting a book club, and this is our first book that you see on the screen, Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs. And I chose this title for our first one because of all of the silliness that's going on in the circus community centered around the word black and the concepts around black and the infatuations with the color black and things like that. All right. So we're going to start off with some education in the book club about ethnic identities in the land of the pharaohs. All right. No questions? I see Mika is asking about the well, not for all the books in the book club, but this particular one, yes. But register the book club, and I'm gonna let everyone know where they can get it. I mean, you can get it on your own, obviously. You know, you don't need me to tell you, but register. Go to Sabre University, and you'll see to enroll in the book club. It looks like a course on Sabre University, but it's not a course. It's free. It's just to see who all is interested in that. All right. And it's open. There's no special thing you got to do to join the book club. It's just a matter of just going to the website and registering, enrolling. But no questions on what I said. See, y'all are lucky y'all not in class, because I would give you a quiz and drill you to make sure you understand what I said, you know. And just to remind you all, listen, all these people talking about ancient Egypt, I don't care who they are. I don't care what gender they are. I don't care what color they are or what you call them. Any and everybody that's talking about ancient Egypt, who the ancient Egyptian culture or the ancient Egyptians who did not go through at least a beginner's competency of the language, are going to be handicapped. Those people are going to be handicapped in their understanding of the culture. And there's a simple reason why. Language is the DNA of culture. It is the language of a people that records the psyche of the people, their worldview. And their worldview is expressed obviously outwardly in the material culture and their accomplishments, achievements, goals, successes and failures, etc., etc. In order to intimately know ancient Egypt, you have to go through the language. Period. And so I'm doing these short nuggets or snackables to get people to understand and one to learn. But this is not just surface stuff. This is not the best approach to do this. Like if you are gonna, chomp down on the snackables and think that you're getting the full meal, then you kind of fooling yourself with that. Don't do that to yourself. These snackables are just that. They're snacks. If you want the main course, the full course meal, 4-course meal with the tea on the side, the dessert, the appetizer, the main course, and then chit chat and then have another little snack after that and all that good stuff, you got to sign up for the class. All right? Sign up for the class. Every aspect about the language that you want to know, you can know. Don't be intimidated. Don't think it's hard. It takes discipline. And it is, a bit of, I would say, tediness to it, but it's not hard. It's not too hard. All right. That's if you want to know Egypt. But if you're one of those people who want to know just enough to fuss and fight online, then this is not the place for you. All right. It's not. I mean, that's not my cup of tea. All right. That's a wasteful. That's a waste of good energy there. All right, because if you're not interested, you're not interested. So I'm looking for any questions. I'm doing a little rambling. Okay, I see some questions here. All right, so let's start with these. So Ramza, I asked Emicat a question. Maybe you can answer. Okay, I don't see the question though. We're going to go to the next person. Askia, did the ancient Ranykemet identify as black? No, they didn't. All right, next question. whoever Askia is, shout out to Askia. Askia is trying to bait me into talking about the silly arguments that are going on online. But the answer is no. I'm serious about the answer. The answer is no. They didn't identify as black. And I will gladly elaborate on that. And I will elaborate on that. But it's for people who are not sensitive, people who are not too sensitive to have that conversation. All right. But no, they didn't. All right. And just so you know, just real quick, this is something that should be painfully obvious with that. Or nah. Matter of fact, I'm gonna save it for a conversation. But look, I'm gonna ask you a question, Askia, and this is for anybody who's listening. Do this. If you identify as black right now, if you self-identify, this goes for anybody. If you self-identify as black, right? Ask yourself why. And don't rush an answer. And you don't have to answer me right now, but ask yourself that and really give a good answer to that question. Why do you identify as black? If you do it, ask yourself why. And hold on to that answer, because I'm gonna have this conversation and I'm inviting everybody. Yes, Wujao not only wants the smoke on that, but I'm gonna step in the fire, out of the fire, and I'm gonna start the fire with that conversation. But I can't have sensitive people in the fire. I don't want nobody crying. I don't want nobody complaining. All right. So you're not going to see me or hear me talk about it until I feel that people are ready to have that conversation. So that's that. And I'm saying all of that because I'm sure if I scroll down, people are going to ask some other questions around that. Okay, Ramza, I'm outside in the doghouse in dead of winter with her. What? Did I miss something? Ramza, what do you got going on? I must have missed something. Donnie Williams. So these are basically clauses for how the language functions. Is that correct? Let me switch back over. No, these are actual phrases. Okay. So remember, I started off by saying these are substantival phrases, and these are syntactic constructions. And remember, grammar or a language is made up of morphology and syntax, which together, morphology and syntax, makes up grammar. That's what grammar is. Morphology is the domain of the level of word and below. Okay, morphology deals with words and smaller elements. Syntax deals with strings of words and larger units of elements. All right. And so syntax involves strings of words, their word order, the placement, and they form syntactic units that have meaning. Now, what I'm showing you, what we went over, are a syntactic unit called phrases. And then these are specific constructions, which is really the when two words are juxtaposed next to one another, what do they express? And in Ranykemet, or the ancient Egyptian language, they can express the genitive, apposition, or connection. And the only way you would know that which one is by context. And then each one has a sub category. So among the genitive, you have direct and indirect. Among apposition, you have simple, decreasing, and filiation. Among connection, you have conjunction and disjunction. All right. So these are structures that I'm going over. Now, if we were to compare it to English, I went over genitive, for example. If I say bedroom, today bedroom is like one singular word, one word. But if we break up bed and room together, we could separate that and say it's a phrase. But both bed and room, the referent of that is the same. It's a place where you sleep, a place where a bed is located and where you sleep. All right. So Ranykemet has similar expressions, but the form of it is different. All right. So hopefully that answers you, Donnie. Chavis, shout out to Chavis. Say appreciate anybody watching. You know, I really appreciate people who are interested in this. You know, because I know with the different arguments and fussing that goes on in the circus community and the YouTubians on YouTube and stuff like that, it's refreshing that even if you are entertained by that and even participate in it, as long as you balance it out with serious growth, serious learning, or sharing, or involving and participating in serious discussions about X, Y, and Z, this particular language, then that's refreshing to me. And so I really appreciate anybody who's interested in this, because this is the boring stuff. This is the nerdy stuff. This is not exciting. No one's fussing. No one's doing the drama. No one's showboating. No one's name dropping, uh, and one trying to one up each other, and all the other stuff that goes on that we see. So that's not exciting. That's not exciting. So I appreciate. So Chavis, I appreciate you just being tuned in. And Ramza, I am trying to figure out, what are you talking about? Ramza, you got me confused. Let's see. Okay, maybe here's this question. The question was, okay, is there evidence in Kemet studies that we evolved from the sea? Are there any evidence? So I'm assuming that you're asking, did the Egyptians state that by we, I'm assuming you're saying humans, that humans evolved from the sea? Not explicitly that I know of. And by explicitly, y'all can find a text where it says explicitly human beings evolved from the sea. But figuratively, everything emerges out of Nun, which is said to be an ocean. Okay, Nun is the watery, is likened unto a watery abyss. And everything comes or emerges out of Nun or Nu. There is nothing before Nu. There's no beyond. There's nothing beyond Nu. You're at Nu. It is what it is. Okay. Then in terms of human beings, the word human, actually in ancient Egyptian, the word for people or human beings is the word remich. Now, what's interesting about that is that the ancient Egyptians called human beings remich, and they called themselves remich. But whenever the ancient Egyptians wanted to distinguish themselves from other human beings, they maintained the word remich for themselves, and they called other human beings something else. And you have to remember that every ethnic group and nation is going to think that they are all that and a bag of chips. They're going to think that they themselves are the best thing since I don't know, cookies and cream. All right. So the Egyptians saw themselves as human beings, and everybody else was an other. If you were not them, you were other. Just as simple as that. Anyway, just thought I'd tell you that. The word remich. Oh, by the way, I was saying that because the word remich, they play on that word remich, which means the play is from the word remu, which is tears, coming from the god Remi, which is an epithet of Ra. And so when Ra cries, or the tears of Ra, so the remich, or the human beings or the people, come from the tears of Ra. All right. So in that sense, they come from a fluid, because tears are fluid. And so when you say evidence that we evolved from the sea, like I said, not explicitly, but I'm just giving you a couple of nuggets that you may want to consider. All right. And Sean saying, we are the Black Bull people. Yeah, we're the Black Bull people. Yes, indeedy. Kemet only had black bulls. Okay. Sean is on a roll, boy. Sean is on a roll. But like I said, all that black conversation that people seem to be infatuated with and everything like that, Yeah, when I feel that people are ready, and it sounds like sounds kind of uppity for me to say it that way, but if y'all are being real with yourself, you definitely understand what I mean, because people, this conversation is over 50 years old, and I'm not going out. I'm not allowing the conversation to go another 50 years around in circles just because people get caught up in their feelings about the word black and their attempted associations with ancient Egypt and everything like that. So when I feel that people are mature enough, I'll have a conversation. But in the meantime, I'm putting pen to pad, fingers to keyboard, and I'm going to publish something about it, which is how you do it. That way you can cover all bases. So don't think I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. Just so y'all know. That's for y'all, those who are wondering. All right. So Askia says, woo, are you saying you're not black? Oh, hell no. You done up and done it. Are you saying you're not black? Now, I don't know how you got that from my first response to you, though. And that's interesting that how you got that from my first response to you. And I'm going to include that in my conversation. I'm just not going to have the conversation until I think people are ready. Because if anybody knows me, like, listen, I don't know, some feelings going to get hurt when the conversation comes up. Same thing with the whole ancestral veneration. The whole spiritual science and spiritual conversation, just like the yoga conversation. I had a conversation about yoga. People got bent up out of shape, but nobody can refute anything I said. Same thing with the whole spiritual science conversation. Bent up out of shape, but nobody can refute anything that I was saying. To this day, I'm gonna be like, what's his name? DeAndre, what's his name? The boxer. To this day. And the same thing for this black conversation. All right. Same thing for the whole conversation. I'm going out of this, y'all. I'm going out of this. So I'm trying to end this now. I got 9 minutes at the most. 9 minutes. 9 minutes at the most. And 9 minutes at the most. And I see we got the brother James, Pan African Design. Will your work be peer reviewed? Now a lot of people put weight on peer reviewed, because I understand people who are not or not well educated, because you got people who didn't graduate from high school, right? Who may or may not have had their GED and so on and so forth. And so when they get something, they focus a lot on peer review, not really understanding what that means, peer reviewed, and what that entails and what the value of it is. Because, and this is why I'm saying what I'm saying right now, is because people are equating peer reviewed with accuracy or correctness, as if something that is peer reviewed means it's true, or means it's accurate, or means it's correct. And that's a mistake that I see a lot of people make. And so the peer review, whether you're in a journal or not in a journal, whether you got a favor from a friend to be placed in a journal, whether the editors are not really experts in the field of information that you're covering, but they just took your article, lock, stock, and barrel, and just stuck it into a thing just so you can have bragging rights online to say that you were published in a journal after 50 years of your life rubbing elbows with other teachers and never doing anything. So I can understand how peer review and journal becomes a big deal with in the circus community and things like that. So if you're asking me, will my work be peer reviewed? Um, yes, it will be peer reviewed. To answer you, James, it will be peer reviewed. All right. Will it be in a journal? No, it won't be in a journal though, but it will be peer reviewed because remember, journals are for articles that are usually brief, a certain amount of context and pages that you're limited to when you. It depends on the journal. Depends on the aim, the goal of the journal, and the organization behind journals. But a lot of journals are limiting to very specific things. But what I'm covering on the topic of black is going to be a little bit too broad for it to be in a journal. So it will not, most likely it won't be in a journal or anything like that. That's not even the goal that I have for it. But will it be peer reviewed? Yes, it will be. All right. So yes, it will be peer reviewed. Now, once people get past the distraction of peer reviewed and refocus on the actual claims and statements of people's work, then come talk to me. But the whole peer reviewed stuff like that, that's a distraction. I'm not impressed at all. Now, other people may be impressed, and that's cool. But I'm just saying all this stuff because this is what people been hitting me up lately and wanted to know anyway. So I'm just telling y'all right here, right now. I'm not impressed with articles being in a journal or the constantly saying peer reviewed. Think about this. What scholar always constantly says peer review, peer review? Peer review, peer review. It's like you can tell when people are not used to something because they'll make a big deal out of something where the people who actually do stuff like this, they don't. It's crazy. Like, for example, people who are rich, and I'm just gonna give you an example. People who are well off, they got deep pockets. They don't go around announcing that they got deep pockets or the fact that they're rich or be all gaudy and stuff. It's only people who are not used to being rich, not used to having much, that when they do get something, they're gonna show it off. Every single selfie is gonna have their rings in the picture or their chain on in the picture. They can't take a picture without the chain. They gotta have the chain on. They gotta have their car in the thing. They gotta show something. But people who are actually about that life and do it, you don't see them doing stuff like that. So that's how I see this whole thing about peer review stuff and the constant saying of peer review, peer review, peer review. Peer review, peer review. That's all you hear. I'm not impressed. Straight like that. I'm not impressed. All right, so let me keep going. And I'm taking these questions. I'm answering everything around it too, because I know people want to ask things or all the silliness that's going on too. But you see, you're not seeing me participate in any of that. I come from a different background. I'm pretty sure the ancient Egyptians didn't know about the Cambrian era regardless. I believe that the primordial Nun is an analogy to symbolize the amniotic fluid that embryos float in. Medjay, that's why I said figurative. That's why I answered the way I answered it. The ancient Egyptians were not talking about the Cambrian explosion and all of that, all those kind of things. They're not talking about any of that. So you're correct on that. And that's what I'm saying. What I was saying figuratively now, Nun is not the amniotic fluid either. Nun is something beyond that as well. But if we did a study on their conceptualization of Nun, it's fascinating. But it's not a testimony to human evolution. All right, because that's what you're discussing, human evolution. Did humans come from or evolve from sea creatures and et cetera, et cetera? So no, we can't say that. There's nothing explicit in text that I know of where it talks about does a treatment on human evolution. All right, so that's that. Let's see. Did the ancient Egyptians have masculine and feminine grammar syntax? Um, there's a grammatical category in ancient Egyptian of gender, and there's two gender categories. There's two gender possibilities, and it is masculine and feminine. So the answer is yes. And in fact, I have videos in the archives where I explain it and break it all down. Maybe Sister Emiket can find a video and post a link to the feminine and masculine grammatical gender. And it's important to say grammatical gender, askia, grammatical gender, because what people tend to do, they confuse sexual gender with grammatical gender. And grammatical gender forms a system called concordance. And again, I go over this in other videos on our channel. But to answer the question, yes. All right. And it's not really feminine grammatical syntax, though. We have to be able to explain these things, and you know, I understand. That's why I do what I do, is to help share and help everybody, and we all learn and walk this thing together. Masculine and feminine is not. These are grammatical categories. They're not syntactic categories. Okay, just as an FYI, because the way you ask your question, just want to make sure you fully understand what you're asking and my answer. All right. So let us move on. Oh, a kid said I was joking. Oh yeah, it's a serious question. Okay, yeah, what's your question? Oh, did I just have it? Did I just Oh, Dante Wilder. Yeah. To this day. All right. Phi Lightentis. And matter of fact, let me get your these off here. All right. Peer review can and is just as corrupt as boxing judges. In some instances, you either in the club or you not sometimes. Doesn't mean you're truly lost or just 100% of the time. Yeah, see, people are exaggerating the peer review. The peer review process, the idea behind it is a disciplined and noble thing, peer review, because the idea behind it is to have people that are competent, that can discern whatever it is that you're producing meets a certain standard. But people extend that and exaggerate, and I've seen people, although they don't say this verbatim, but I've seen people equate peer review with correct. Like something that's peer reviewed is also correct. You can have something peer reviewed and be 100% wrong. 100% wrong. And a lot of the peer review process is really formal. And by formal, I mean form, meaning that if you submit a contribution to a paper, a magazine, a journal, or what have you, a lot of times, and it depends on what it is, a lot of times it's a formal peer review, meaning that did you structure it properly? With formalities. Did you structure it properly? Did you, it's not even about the content in terms of the points you're making and whatnot. So it's a wide range of the ways and methods in which something is peer reviewed. If you go to a publishing company, your work is going to be peer reviewed. It's going to be peer reviewed by default. You submit your book, you could write a whole book. And if you're not going to self-publish it and you go to an institution, a publishing institution, your stuff is going to be peer reviewed. Simple as that. So when I hear people say, "Oh, not a book," whatever the case is, get it in a journal. Like, come on. A book is more elaborate than an article in a journal. Everything has its purpose. If you're going to write something about something specific and it's 30 pages or less, 25 pages or less, 20 pages or less, then and then it's appropriate for a specific journal type, then cool. Put it in a journal. But if it's going to be longer than that, and you're showing plates and diagrams and breaking stuff down and have multiple branches of your points that you got to make and this, that, you cannot fit that in a journal. So it's not about a journal. And then what happens is people are talking about getting published in a journal instead of people actually reading the content and understanding it and it being true. Like, what's the purpose? The purpose of publishing in a journal is to get exposure among a targeted audience. That's the purpose of a journal. When you when doctors and scientists publish in medical journals, they're publishing for the reason of documenting things within a targeted audience. That's why when lay people read medical journals, a lot of lay people misinterpret what the journals are saying. Doctors go through this all the time. I have a family of doctors. My sister, my brother, they're both doctors. They get all the time people misinterpreting medical journals, lay people. But their colleagues understand it. Same thing with biogenetics, the journals in biology and genetics. People will read journals and misinterpret it, but the targeted audience of competent people that understand these things, they don't have such confusion. So the purpose of publication, there are reasons why you publish something and where you publish it. So people got to get up off the exaggerations of all this kind of stuff. Like, to me, it's that's why I call this a circus. It's truly a circus community. And I'm not impressed. I'm definitely gonna wind this down. So I'm gonna try to go down, see if I see any questions. And here's James again. So now peer review means nothing. Now, if anybody heard anything I said and take that away, then I'm going to let you take that away. I'm going to let you believe that's what I said. Because I'm telling you, comprehension is key. And I'm not going to babysit somebody's comprehension. So, James, if that's what you got out of what I said, if you think I'm saying peer review means nothing, then so be it. I don't care. Go run off somewhere else and tell folks that I said peer review means nothing if you believe that's what I'm saying. But I'm going to tell you that's not what I'm saying. But it doesn't matter what I actually am saying. You're going to make up what I'm saying, like you're asking now in bold. So peer review means nothing? If that's what you got, then I can't help you. Yep, can't help you. Next. And that's how you got to be with folks. Askia, no problem. You said dua is for the feminine and masculine. I would show examples, but like I said, we have videos in the in archives, and I'm not trying to span this out. Wajal, you a cold brother. You just threw the standard out the window. Okay, so James, if you're joking, ha ha ha, that's it's funny, it's cool. But I'm saying that's not what I'm saying, and I don't know how to say it to where people can understand. Peer review has its place. What I'm saying, I clearly said the exaggeration of it. People are exaggerating journal and exaggerating peer review. And what I'm saying is that people who do this, you don't hear that kind of language from them. You don't hear that kind of talk from them. So it sticks out like a sore thumb. You could tell who's an amateur and who's not. Period. And peer review does not mean correct. If you take your stuff to a publisher, it's going to be peer reviewed. Goodness. The degree of peer review. Like, see, listen, man, y'all don't want me to even really talk about stuff. It's a consensus among the so-called experts in that said field. I don't know what you're talking about though, James. You said it's a consensus. I don't even. A lot of people don't even know what consensus is. They really don't. So, James, I don't know what you're talking about. So have you ever published anything in peer review or a journal? And if so, why or why not? No, I don't have anything published in a journal. The answer is no. And the answer is why is simply because what I've published so far is not for a journal. Remember what I said, James. I'm gonna make this very, very clear for you. Everything has a purpose. You publish in journals for a reason. Depending on the journal, depending on the aim and goal of the journal, is where you would publish. Now, for example, my article in the contribution on the meaning of the place name Kemet, that article I did would be appropriate for a journal. All right. The one that I did with Brother Sanjeti and the brother Osari Imhotep. Now, the publication I'm working on right now, which is Egyptian grammar, that's not and could not be a journal or in a journal. I would have to take a singular point, maybe a grammatical point that I may want to expound or explain in a limited fashion to do a journal type of article for a journal. But again, the article that I did for that would be worthy enough for a journal and whatnot. So there's nothing wrong with publishing in journals. There's nothing wrong with being peer review or anything like that. So I don't want you to get it twisted. But what's happening though is people are publishing and misusing it. Like I can't even believe that people are like doing that. Like nobody does that. It's only in the circus community. You talking about consensus. You show me scholars who are in this space who talk and do things like that. They don't do that. And if you rub elbows with in this space, they don't do that. It's only in the circus community. Only in the circus community where you get a sloppy piece of work published in a journal. Next. You're through the same pain I go through, medical environment, doctor, siblings. Oh, okay. I'm asking questions. You get it. No, listen, I'm not offended. Like, if you think I'm offended, James, no, I'm not offended at all. But, James, I have a question for you, though. I have a question for you. One, and I'm gonna take time. Hopefully you're still here, so I want to see your answer. Do you self-identify as black? That's my question to you. Do you self-identify as black? And I'm waiting for your answer while I'm going down. And Sean, I'm not sure what he's saying. Peer reviewed it. Yeah, see, you know, there are conversations going on that I'm not a part of, and that's why I'm not being specific. I'm just talking about peer review in general. People are over exaggerating it, and I hear it being used a lot by people, by certain people, really. And that's a tall tale sign, or telltale sign. Excuse me, telltale sign that that's not their thing. It's crazy. Let's see. The standard, you don't know what the standard is. Yeah, a lot of people don't know. Going down the list, y'all. Going down the list. All right, so James, I'm waiting on your answer. I'm gonna get down to it. So how do you get things changed in academia? What is the process? Well, first of all, in order to get change in academia, you have to isolate and identify the space that you're in, that you're trying to change. And so there's different ways of doing it. So, if you're asking me that, we could do a whole show on that. As a matter of fact, I think we did discuss that before, back in the day. So I think we did it on the Amara Squad channel. How to change things in academia. I don't know if I know we didn't title it like that, but I think we discussed that. But there's different ways you could do that. There's different ways you do that. And one way is to engage the scholarship. And the way you engage the scholarship is you publish. It doesn't have to be journals. You could publish books. You could do actual critiques of existing stuff in book form. And a part of publication is marketing. The good thing about publishing in a journal, if it's an accredited journal, and if it's a widespread and solid journal that has tenure in the game, then by you publishing something in that journal, it will get a lot of exposure, and it will get noticed and exposure. That's a good thing about publishing in a journal. But remember what I said, journals are limited. So usually people will publish isolated and restrictive content in journals because you're only limited a certain amount of space and you can't elaborate. So what people tend to do, they will write a book, a publication, and a journal article, and they will cite or refer people to the larger volume of work. All right, so it depends. Now, alternatively, you can go to a popular and well-rooted and well-tenured publishing company, Cambridge Publishing Company. What's another one? There's certain publishing companies that are known for certain areas of work. Like, for example, Egyptologist or Egyptology period. There's certain publishing companies that publish Egyptological works. And so you can submit your work there. Now, submission there, you usually have to pay for editing, the publication, and that whole process, and get it done that way. And you meet their requirements, you meet the form, you meet the standards of what the publishing company represents, as long as you don't violate, this, that, and the third. You're not writing something about hate speech and whatever that violates whatever they got going on. Then you go through that process. And it'll get exposure because going through a publishing company, they usually have distribution. So it's in that sense, it's like the record industry, the music industry. All right. The hardest thing to do is self-publishing because you got to do everything. You either contract and get your stuff edited or you edit your stuff yourself. You have to contact people in the field to peer review your work. When you're a self-publisher, it's much, much harder to do. It's much, much harder to do. You got to market, you got to distribute, you got to advertise, which is part of marketing. And all of that if you're self-published. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy. Now I'm going to show you something. No, I'm not even going to do it. Let me skip on down. I'm trying to go down. I got to get off here. I'm over the time. Okay, he said yes. Yes, Black, African American. Okay, so James, my next question to you is, because you self-identify as Black, why? Why do you self-identify as Black? What does that mean to you? Like what is that? What is the value of that for you? Why do you self-identify as Black? I'm just curious. And this will go a lot faster if we were having a conversation. So So if you're up to it, I would love to have a maybe a conversation another time on your blackness. All right, because I know you have a company, Pan African Designs and Apparel, and it's about the red, black, and green, and so on and so forth. So I like to, dig in your head and ask you, what does blackness mean to you? Your blackness. Why do you call yourself black? What does it mean to you? Sean says scientists have an issue with the peer review process because it can be biased. That's absolutely right. Peer review process definitely has bias, and it's political. There's political elements in the peer review process. Everyone, see, that's what I'm saying. Everyone who knows about this stuff and comes from a scholarly background knows this, and they know, and they don't ride on it. The noble idea about peer review, the process, is great, but you also know not to exaggerate it. You know not to exaggerate it. And then at the end of the day, though, something being peer reviewed does not mean that it's correct. Going down, I think I'm getting to the bottom. Example, you oppose Kim meaning black. Never did I do that. So, James, you're wrong. And that's what I'm saying. You got to pay attention, James. Brother James. Sound like the mother on Good Times. James. If you even pretend to know me, go in the archives of our videos. The brother Wujao has never opposed Kim meaning black. And to me, that's really stupid. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I call it a circus community. That's why I say it's silly and it's goofy. The whole conversation is goofy because people don't even know what the arguments are. Even when I jumped on Smash's live, the first time he titled, I think the video is called "Ancient Egyptians Call Themselves Black." That video, when I jumped on there, before I got on the panel, in the chat, I was telling people that black is an acceptable translation of the word Kim, even in those names and titles that were being discussed. Go back to that video and just, I don't know what the timestamp will be, but knock yourself out. You'll see where I'm in the chat telling people that Kim, black, is an acceptable translation. So again, good brother James, Kim meaning black is not an issue. It's not an issue. And for people to constantly pretend it's an issue is why I say it's goofy. And I'm blaming the people who are having this conversation because they don't know how to teach. Because they got everybody confused. Everybody confused. So I don't know where that get, like, everybody in the chat right now can tell you what I translate. I got slides right now from class. Listen, I don't have time to show, but I have one keynote presentation. Keynote, for those who don't know, is equivalent to PowerPoint for the PC computers. I have one file that has 800 slides. 800. All about grammar. And in these slides, I'm breaking down all of these different things that I do in classes, and stuff like that, where I'm talking about the derived forms of verbs and how they become adjectives, and how adjectives and substantives are both nouns, which is why adjectives behave like quote unquote nouns, and so on and so forth. Breaking all of that down. The difference between Kim and Kemet with the T. What does it mean? Is it always a feminine T? Is there another morpheme represented in that T called a portmanteau morph? I have a video about that. I'm sure Emicat could throw that in the chat. I did a whole video about portmanteau morphemes or morphs. So anyway, I'm just making this clear to you, James, and not just you though. This is for anybody, because listen, the conversation. See, I'm not even part of the conversation. I jumped on Smash's channel, and then the periphery, the conversation keep coming up, and I'm not in all of the conversations, but the conversations are creating questions and statements and claims that I do see. Like, people inbox me, people email me, people inbox me on Facebook, people DM me on Instagram, and they're asking me about this conversation. And I'm telling everybody the same thing. Until I feel that the conversation has matured a little bit to really have a progressive conversation about it, then I'm just gonna watch what everybody else is saying. But in the meantime, putting pen to paper and fingers to keyboard. All right? Because everything everybody's talking about, there is nothing that I have seen from anybody that is something that I don't already know when it comes to that topic of Kim, demeaning black, and all this other kind of stuff. Nothing. Not the tools that are being used, not the sources that are being cited, and nothing coming out of people's mouths is anything new to me. Nothing. And I'm not saying that as if I know it all. I'm saying what I'm hearing, nothing is new. And if I had enough time in the day, I would show y'all where I even discuss many of these things years ago. Not yesterday, not last week, but years ago. Years ago. So, your comment that I have on screen, James, it does not make any sense, because that's not what I claim. I do not claim that Kim does not mean black. I actually say Kim being translated as black is acceptable. And you know, when I have the larger conversation, maybe you'll click and you'll catch on to the importance of that. And I don't think I'm ever going to get to the bottom of this in time. I done went over my time 3 minutes before 2 hours. I'm not going over 2 hours. What do he mean by black? Because in 2020, it seems not to be clear. That's Boom. That's true, Boom. That's part of it. I think people are definitely very slow to think anachronistically. I want everybody to look up anachronism or anachronism. Look up the word anachronism. Okay, anachronism. I put it on Facebook. I defined it, gave its historical development, which is the etymology of it and the whole thing. Anachronism. Look it up. This is what people are doing when they want to bring up Crayola crayon colors and try to have a discussion about people of antiquity. That is what they're doing. And to me, that is the most silliest thing to do. And people just don't understand and don't know it. And I know this for a fact, and I'm going to show it. I'm saying people are going to be butthurt about it, but I'm going to show people that they don't even know why they call themselves black. They really don't. I already have the data. I do social experiments, y'all. I'm scrolling down. But James, I don't know if I see your answer. Why you call yourself Why you call yourself black? We know that it can mean several things. No, James, that's the thing. You should take a class, and it don't have to be with me. You should take a class though. You should consider. You should seriously consider taking a class in the language or language period. Okay, because you have what's called homonyms, or specifically homographs or transliterated homographs, and homophones the way we pronounce them today. Don't say it can have several meanings. Just say there are several words with the same consonantal sequence, minus the vowels. KM. The K and M are two consonants. It's a sequence. We see it, we pronounce it the same. That's why they call homograph or homophone. Homo meaning same, phone meaning sound, homo meaning same, graph meaning something written. But they're different words. So you have several words that look the same. Not that it can have mean several things. Now, a singular word can have a semantic field or range of meaning, but they're all anchored together. We call it a semanteme. Semanteme is the underlying meaning. But see, here I am right now giving class about that. But yet I'm the one that's supposed to be, don't know what I'm talking about. Listen, nobody is seeing me on grammar. I'm going to tell you straight like that. In these YouTube streets, nobody's seeing me on grammar. Yep. Go run and tell that. Next one real quick. Bontons 007. I'm asking a question. What was your question? I must have missed it. I don't know if you're asking me and I missed it or... Yeah, I definitely missed your question. And I'm trying... Okay, I think this is the question right here. When Kim is referring to a person, does that mean it's saying the person is black? If this is your question that you were asking, if you're asking me, is it saying that the person is black? Bantu, I want you to think about this critically yourself, and I want you to answer this yourself, right? And this is a question I asked James. And see, I can't have this conversation. I'm already at two-hour mark. I may come back live later to do a Kim and Chill Q&A. Just open it wide open, and put the link so people could come in the chat. All right, because I don't want to turn this into the whole conversation about black, and that's the problem. See, people get bogged down on this conversation, and it overwhelms everything else. It's a diversion. The whole peer review journal thing, the black thing. This is old stuff. But I don't want to push anyone away who may have genuine questions about it. So I might go live later as a Kim and Chill, and make sure y'all keep your ears to the ground. All right. So I could see that nobody was concerned about what I did show today. And see, that's the thing. People are not trying to learn. People just want the drama and the microwave stuff. Does Kim mean black? Yes, Kim means black. There is a word Kim that means black. There are another words Kim that mean other things. But yes, there's one that means black. Yes. Next. Well, are the Egyptians black? Well, what do you mean by black? Do you mean would they consider themselves black if they were alive today? Like, is that kind of thing? If the ancient Egyptians were alive and walking the streets right now today, would we consider them black? One, and then two, would they consider themselves black? Those are the kind of questions people are interested in. But nobody's trying to really learn to discern and do this stuff themselves. You got people confused about stuff. Don't even know how adjectives work. Don't even know how, the word order of ancient Egyptian sentences, thinking it's VSO all the time and this, that, and the third. Don't know much of anything, let alone the verbal system. And they think dictionaries have all the words. Dictionaries don't even have, the dictionary have no derivations of words, just its roots and classes, the word classes. You ask somebody to decline a word or conjugate a word, they don't know. They don't know how. So I may go live later, y'all. But in the meantime, back to what I was explaining. Don't forget to go to Sabre University and sign up for our book club. The first book we're going to deal with is Ethnic Identities in the Land of Pharaohs. This book right here and others, this is the one we're going to start with. But there's others. But this book, this starting book, will help you out tremendously about the topic of black in Egypt and all this other kind of stuff. But I'm going to go over it in we're going to walk through the book. This particular book is it's about 100 pages. I don't know the exact amount of pages, but it's not a very big book. So go to Sabre University. It's free to enroll in our book club. This is going to be the first book, but we're going to go through different titles of books, over time. This is going to be our first one. All right. Ethnic Identities in the Land of the Pharaohs. All right. This is going to be our first one. So if you're interested in that, you don't want to miss it. But if you're interested in that, sign up. Spread the word. So I will see you all later on. I'll try to make time to do a Kemet and Chill where what y'all want to talk about, y'all can have at it. I'll listen. I'll listen to all the arguments people have about the Egyptians being black and or not, to be peer reviewed or not, to be in a journal or not. What does it mean? And all that kind of stuff. I'll listen. I'm gonna listen to y'all. Y'all bring all that good stuff. Let me know. Educate me on the word Kim. Yeah, that's what I want. I want people to come here later on, and I'm gonna try to do it if nobody else is live. I want people to come here. Y'all educate me. I'm gonna sit in the desk. I'm gonna have my pen and pad. I'm gonna take notes. Y'all teach me. Teach me what Kim is. I want to break it down. But I'm gonna tell y'all one thing though. If I have a question, I want y'all to answer my questions. All right? And I will have questions. I'm a proper student. So if I'm gonna be a student and you're gonna teach, be ready for some questions. All right. So Shem Hotep, I'll see you all later on.